Hello everyone, welcome to Scorcher Toys at AnyMoon.com's review of Bandai's DX VF-31F toys. Bandai has released 7 different VF-31 toys to date, but today we are focusing on the Messer Custom, released in April 2017 for 20,000 yen, and the dual-badged Messer Hayate Use, released in October 2018 for 21,000 yen. We're looking at these toys together because they only differ in packaging and accessories. If you're shopping for these toys, you're going to have to look to specialty import shops. If you're shopping for anything else, click the link in the comments below and head on over to Big Bad Toy Store. They have a huge selection, and by clicking through, you help me to be able to keep bringing you more great videos. Bandai really stepped up its game when it came to the packaging of their DX VF-31 toys. Both of these toys come in sturdy cardboard boxes with flip-up lids. The Messer Hayate box does a nice job wrapping in the core colors of both pilots. Opening the box exposes a lid labeled "Remove before flight." Once that's removed, you'll find the toy housed in a styrofoam tray under a plastic shell with the accessories tucked under their own lid. While both the VF-31F toys are exactly the same, the accessories do differ a little bit. Both toys include a Messer pilot figure, 2 knives with a pivot gimmick for stowing behind the forearm, which I will show you in a bit. There are 6 pairs of fixed posed hands. That's the fists, the stabby grip, the pistol grip straight, the pistol grip cocked, open hands, and salute hands. There's also 2 replacement head lasers and 1 replacement head fin, which I will be discussing at length later. Only the first VF-31F release, the pure Messer Custom, comes with a Kaname co-pilot figure and 2 types of multi-drones, one in the flight mode and one in projection mode. Only the second VF-31F release comes with a helmetless Hayate pilot figure, which is the same that's included with the DX VF-31J toys. Removing the styrofoam tray, you'll find another plastic tray that contains a display stand, which consists of a base and an arm, and 3 clear display stand adapters, 1 for each mode. Only the second VF-31F release, the Hayate Messer combo, includes 2 pairs of Little Draken attachment pieces. Finally, behind all that, you'll find instructions. The second release instructions are slightly different in that they reference the Macross Delta movie in the intro section and have an added final page on how to use the Little Draken attachment pieces. You can find scans of the full instructions and the new pages up on AnyMoon.com. Both these toys, again, exactly the same, just some accessory differences, so let's go over those accessory differences. Both toys come with a Messer pilot figure. The toy that comes in a black box also comes with a Kaname co-pilot figure. So you can remove this rear cover and you can push this seat back. And then if you have the black box toy, you also have this little co-pilot figure that you can fish into that seat. But if you close up the canopy, it's a pretty well frosted canopy, so it's not entirely obvious what's going on in there. You can see 2 little figures, but not a huge amount of mileage being added there. So there you go. That's the figure that comes with the black box. Now, if you get the black and blue box, you get another Hayate pilot figure. So you can take Messer out, and we can put him in. And then it's more the movie version of the VF-31F. Now you can see it's a tight fit, but he goes in there well enough. And again, we can push this seat back down, put the cover back in, and there you go. Now you have movie version VF-31F like so, and there it is with the canopy down. Now, the big difference for most people is going to be the inclusion of the adapters. As you can see, I've got on the far side for the Little Drakens. The toy does not come with Little Drakens. This is only a benefit to those people who have an SV262 accessory kit and aren't using the Little Drakens there, and they want to use it on this toy. For everyone else, including the people who own the black box version of this toy, Bandai is releasing a Little Draken accessory kit for VF-31 toys that comes out in January that will include both of these clips as well as the little dragons themselves. So again, the only advantage of the clips being in the blue and black box is for those people that already have little dragons by way of their SV262 toys. Now to install these little clips, you actually use the hard points. So here you could see the clip is attached on this side, not attached on this side. I'm just going to fish it from behind, and I am going to connect it at the hard point. And then I'm going to push down in the back, kind of lock it into position. And when it's in position, it should be decently tight and keep the wing from moving too much. There is a little more slop there than I would care for. It doesn't quite do the amazing job you would hope for. This is the Bandai display stand. Might as well talk about it while we're looking at it. You do have to use the display stand in fighter mode when you've got the little dragons attached. It obviously is very basic, just holds the toy in the elevated position. No points of articulation there. Here we have the little dragon we can put on. And I'm not really going to talk too much about the little dragons or how the clips function too much, since that's beyond the scope of this review. But that is what fighter looks like. If you're one of those people that thinks the DX VF-31 just needs more back kibble, Bandai has you covered. Again, with the blue and black box, you get these clips. What you do is you just bring out the wing like so, and then you slide this on, and you want to make sure you get the teeth underneath on the wing as you come down, and then you're going to get to the hard point, and you'll be able to just clip that in, and you should also be able to clip in that bottom piece. So there you go. Now it's clipped in on top and bottom. We fold it over. That should be pretty secure. And again, if we have the SV262 or later in January, the dragons that come sold separately, we can go ahead and put those on, and the toy will look like it has two little jets attached to its back, which might be a little awkward, or maybe you like it. I don't know, but there you go. Again, only the clips included. That's how you use the clips. That's what they're meant for. Otherwise, not a whole lot of value being added by those clips, since you'll be getting them again in January if that little dragon is something that you really want to attach to this toy. I did not mention reaction missiles because this toy does not come with them in either flavor, which is a shame because the 31S and the 31J Kai both came with them and seemed to be the new trend. So you would have thought the movie version 31F would have them, but it does not. So going forward, this is a standard review of a DX VF-31 toy. If you're already familiar with it, you now already know all the differences between the two releases, and you could move on to one of my other reviews. Check them out. For the rest of you, I'll go through all of the features of a DX VF-31. We've gone through the cockpit and the features there. We do have the removable covers for the intake fans, although the detail work there, not the best. There is a pretty cool gimmick with the gun. If it were to fire now, it would shoot into the crotch, but we can pull up on the front, and there is a little elevator in the back that we can activate as well. And it pulls the gun out just a little bit. There you can see it coming away. And then theoretically it gets past that crotch mechanism and can fire forward. So that is pretty cool. Moving to the top of the toy, we do have stowed micro drones or multi drones in the back here. So there's these little areas right here on either side where you could fit in a fingernail. You just lift in there. And in the show, you see this happen a couple different ways. One, it just pivots like that, and the drones go firing out. Or two, you can get the front clear and slide it forward, and then you have the drones firing out like that. So two different options. Obviously, it works on both legs to fire micro drones, which is pretty cool. The VF-31F toys have a somewhat problematic head in that we have this spike that comes off the back. That spike can pop off a little too easily during handling. The good news is it doesn't break, it pops out. And you do have an extra one in the bag in case it pops out and you'll lose it. But obviously that can be pretty annoying. The toy does have integrated landing gear. They are funky by design from Kawamori, not Bandai necessarily. They are housed within the kneecap, and as you can see, they sit very flush. We pull up the kneecap, we slide the kneecap forward, We fold the kneecap back, and then we can rotate the rubber wheel outward, which is pretty stiff when you first get these toys. And you will have created enough room for the toy to land on the landing gear. But it's really odd. There's that big obvious cowl right behind the wheel. It is a rubber wheel. It spins, but it's very stiff. Usually there's not quite enough clearance for them to roll as freely as you'd want. But they're pretty good about staying where they're supposed to stay, and that's good. Moving forward, we do have another landing gear in the front. Also, these doors really flush, so it might be better just to get a fingernail up towards the front and then pry it open. There we go. And then we just pry this one back. And then you have the articulated tow bar in the front. So good landing gear. They will give you enough clearance in fighter mode to roll forward. As you handle the toy, there are the canards in the front. You might bump them askew. You do have vertical stabilizers in the back that you can bump askew. And even these wings on the edge can be bumped askew. But otherwise, the toy is rock solid. It is a lot of fun to handle in fighter mode. The only gap that really annoys me from a transformation perspective is this gap right here. You can usually tighten it up a little bit, but it does come back. There's a sliding mechanism in there for transformation. So you'd like that to be a little tighter. But the other issue is you can get paint wear on either edge of that. And particularly if it's back here, like you'll see on my other VF-31F toy, you get left with a little rub mark. And that's going to be a problem all throughout the toy. The detail work of the paint is absolutely phenomenal. The toy does not come with stickers because it does not need them. But when you have that much paint and this complicated of a transformation, although it's complicated yet intuitive, so it's not a difficult transformation, but it does raise the issue of paint scratching. So that is something you are definitely going to want to be concerned with as we move forward onto Gerwalk mode. Adding to the fun factor of this toy is the fact that you don't have to have the mission pack up in Gerwalk mode, and you don't have to have it down in fighter mode. I could bring it up now and transform the toy back to fighter mode and have the mission pack out, which is pretty cool. I wanted to take a moment to look at the big logo on the back of the 31F toy. In this show, it's actually tilted a little bit more than it is on the toy. It's probably a little bit larger too. So that is a complaint that people have when they look at this toy. I think it's a bit of a nitpick. The good news is the logo itself does look great. And by making it smaller and less tilted, it's probably less on the hinges. I'm sure Bandai had a good reason for doing what they did. So it might be a bother to some people out there, but I think for the most part, it looks pretty good. So speaking of that mission pack, I've got it down now. We can take it up and over, and then you just unpeg it on one side. I've got it flipped around, bring it open like so. You're gonna pull this out, open these up, and then you're gonna fish out that inner door there. And that's sort of your charging pod. Once it's out, the mission pack itself does add to the fun factor. It can swivel in either direction. These parts independently pivot as well, so that's pretty cool. We can take the gun and we can keep extending it out like so. So there you go, that's the fully extended version. And then you can see it's kind of like an integrated strike pack for the VF-31, so that is pretty cool. I mentioned this toy comes with knives. The knives stow nicely underneath the forearm. There you could see it. We can pop this piece out, and we could even leave that stowed in there, go back to fighter mode. It's not going to cause any problems. But we pull the knife out, we open it up, and then we could theoretically put it in the hand. Now, the hand is the next thing we should talk about. So here, I'll kind of get it in there, and you'll see what the immediate issue is with the hands. And that is, even if I can get this to work, one finger on the hand is permanently sticking out. I can bring it over and across, kind of minimize the visual impact of it, but that is definitely the downside of the integrated hands. You get that one finger that for whatever reason, Bandai didn't put any joints on. So that hand, it also does a poor job holding the gun, which I will show you in a moment here, but we could take this hand off, you get a fixed posed hand that is specifically meant to hold the knife. So we can plug that right in there, right there. And then it's a ball joint, just plugs right back in. And then the hand swivels in and out, up and down on the ball, and obviously you can twist it. So that lets you have some fun menacing with a dagger, which, if you know me, I'm not really keen on toys of mecha having knives. I think it kind of seems a silly concept, but it pulls it off and you can definitely have some fun with that. Going up to the shoulder here, the shoulder is fitting in between two little slots. It does limit the motion a little bit. You're going to want to be careful about scraping paint, but it is a good range of motion, and it has this pivot up and down as well. And you can bring the arm out there. And then you got your twist point, your joint on the elbow. So all that's good stuff. And then moving down, we can pivot this gun around. So if you want to leave the strike pack looking gun up, you can, and then have these guns pointing out off the forearm. So again, adding to the fun factor. Continuing the thought of the fun factor are the legs. So moving down, we have a pivot behind the hip, right there. So that lets you bring the leg way out. You have a twist at the knee. The legs are extended now, so we can go way forward. Now make sure your kneecap's not scraping anything, but look how far forward we can come with that. That's pretty steep angle. We could also, of course, go very far back with it. I'm not sure what you'd be accomplishing by doing that, but you could. And then coming down, we have an ankle that is mostly metal. And as you can hear, has ratchets to it. And look how far it can go. It is an amazing ankle, and it allows you a little bit of twist and even some camber. So that is just an amazing ankle on the bottom of a leg that allows a lot of articulation. So you're gonna have just a ton of fun, nice clicky knees, posing this toy. Now I mentioned the gun being removable, so we can go ahead and pop this off. It sticks on there pretty good. There we go, so we can pull that up, have the gun off now. You're gonna probably wanna grab a fixed posed hand. You can make the articulated hand work, but it can be pretty frustrating. So grab a fixed posed hand like so. Go ahead and fish this through. It's a very tight fit. And once that is through, you are going to just plug that back in, pop this hand off, or the other hand if you want it on the other side. Now, obviously I have disconnected some stuff, so as you handle the toy, that is a possibility. Here, let's bring that down. Now, I mentioned in fighter mode, this gap right here, that is how it becomes an issue. Is there's a slider there. So as you pop this apart to transform to Battroid mode, that piece can get in the way of some other things and scrape on the paint, which again, you can see a little scraped paint right behind there, which is a little bit annoying. You'll also notice that while I'm in Battroid mode. So all together, Gerwalk mode, other than my futzing there that kind of knocked it apart, handles incredibly well. It generally stays together well enough for light play. You can get some incredibly dynamic poses and have a lot of fun with it. There's so much articulation in Gerwalk mode. The only thing that's really going to inhibit you is the need to stand the toy up, and to the rescue comes the display stand again. And again, just propping the toy up, this Gerwalk display stand does a really nice job of pegging into the back of the toy, so you know it's not going to go anywhere. And then you are free to get the toy in some very severe dynamic poses that wouldn't work if you were trying to do it on the shelf. Now, one issue that is frustrating, more in transformation than normal handling of the toy, but also sometimes in normal handling of the toy, is the little spike on the head. So again, you pop that thing out fairly easily. You're gonna wanna keep close tabs on it. And honestly, I would recommend if you are transforming the toy, just start by popping this thing out, putting it somewhere safe, transforming the toy, and then putting it back in once you get to that mode. Again, once you start handling the toy, it's probably less likely to pop up, but certainly during transformation, it almost seems like inevitability. So there you go. So speaking of transformation,
let's continue on to Battroid mode.
As we move on to Battroid mode, here are some pictures I took for my VF-31S review to give you an idea of size and scale. This is a 160 toy. In universe, the VF-31 is quite a bit bigger than the VF-1, so your 160 VF-1 toys will be much smaller. This is in fact much closer to a 148 VF-1 toy. Same thing is true in Battroid mode. At 25.5 centimeters, this toy will tower over VF-1 toys that are also 160 scale. But it is right in line with what you would expect from a 160 scale toy. Moving on, the head is the big difference, besides the paint scheme obviously, between this toy and other VF-31 toys. Now, a lot of people not too keen on this particular head. It's got a blue translucent piece, which I think looks nice, but otherwise it looks rather insect-like, which is not the most flattering head for a mecha. Now, the cool thing about it is on a double ball joint, so we can move this head, we can pivot it forward and back here, we can cock it left and right, we can open up the head lasers, and we could spin the whole thing around if we wanted to. So great articulation there, which is a theme that will continue as we push this toy back a little bit. Battroid mode does benefit from all of those things that we talked about in Gerwalk mode. I already alluded to a lot of back kibble that is definitely present, but you get nice ratcheted joints to keep this toy from falling backwards. Now they could be a little stiffer still, but they do the job they're supposed to. If you're bummed out that the mission pack is killing your logo in the back, the mission pack is also removable. So you can remove the mission pack, bring that down, and there you go. Now you've got your Reaper displayed again. And obviously the mission pack has all of that articulation we've already talked about in Gerwalk mode. So let's talk about the rest of articulation. We have that joint at the shoulder no longer encumbered by that area right behind it, so you can swing this back and forth, and obviously you still have that pivot up and down. And then once we come out here, you can bring the arm out and away. And again, this was all stuff that was available to you in Gerwalk mode. This twist point here can be very, very stiff. And then you have your elbow, which allows a very nice range of motion, greater than 90 degrees. So there you go. Now, we can also pivot at the elbow to get even further. So there you go. Good range of motion at the elbow. You've seen how the hands are ball jointed. You've seen how the gun can pivot around forward, making it so you don't need any other sort of weapon, which is very cool. But of course, you can have those knives stowed as well. And we can pull the gun off the mission pack and put that in the hand obviously as well. Then you've got the twist at the waist, which is obviously very nice. And then moving down, we have the legs, which kind of go up forever and all the way back forever, and then pivot out quite a ways, and then even come across each other. So tons of fun there. Gerwalk joint, Gerwalk twist, still all in play. Moving down, you have your knee, and you can use that Gerwalk extension to get even more knee articulation. And you, of course, have that twist at the knee. And I've already beaten to death how awesome the heels are, so we won't have to go through that again. But all in all, this toy in Battroid mode, despite that immense amount of back kibble, still a ton of fun to handle. And things like these weapons and this weapon and the knives all just add to the fun factor of an already rather enjoyable experience. All right, here we have the display stand one last time in Battroid mode. Still just doing a fine job propping the toy up, although it's pretty ugly and obviously very basic. But it allows you to enjoy, just like in Gerwalk mode, all of that articulation without the fear of the toy toppling over. And if you were going to put little Drakens on this at some point with those clips that come with the blue and black version, the movie version, or that will come with the accessory kit that's being sold separately, obviously the display stand adapter does a good job supporting the back and the toy, and you don't have to worry about things falling over, so that is going to increase your enjoyment of that. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the DX VF-31. I think if you are at all a fan of Macross Delta, it's an easy thing to suggest that you get one of these. Even if you're not a fan of Macross Delta, but you are okay with this mechanical design, you owe it to yourself to get one as far as transforming fighter jets to robots go, these are among the best. Check out anymoon.com. You can see all the different versions out there. Figure out which one you need in your collection. Subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.